Hi folks, Buffin here with your Antifa News Briefa for March 8th, 2022. This is about why is Biden buying Russian oil. And I'll get to the legit reason, like the official reason, because I heard it on the radio yesterday on Marketplace on NPR. But I wanted to speculate a little bit myself because we don't buy that much Russian oil. 3% of America's oil comes from Russia. I knew that from before, so it's kind of like, why not cut it off? It shouldn't hurt our supply that much, especially when Biden's already releasing strategic oil reserves, which is the point of having strategic oil reserves, in case you have to do something like that to replace the supply. But if he's already doing that, why not just release more so that you can end the Russian supply? And so I have a couple theories, or I have a theory that maybe it's because he wants the assistance of the Russian oil barons in overthrowing Putin. Now, if that's the case, then it's a noble goal and good luck to you. But also, wouldn't you expect more progress in that regard going into almost the second week of this invasion that's killing so many people? And it's mostly killing Russians. It's mostly Russian boys who Putin is murdering in Ukraine by sending them there. And I mean, it's killing a lot of civilians too. But they're the ones who are getting targeted and aren't being sent in any responsible way. I mean, with tanks running out of gas and everything. Anyway, it's all over gas, and their tanks don't even have enough gas. But why not cut off that supply? If these oligarchs or oil barons have not started overthrowing Putin already, maybe it would give them a little more incentive if they stopped getting any money for a little while until they did, which is the point of the sanctions for every other field there is. So why not oil? It seems a little suspicious. The more cynical view is that they're all in it for the oil. They don't really care about people at all. All they care about is oil. I would like to give them more credit than that, but Biden hasn't even arrested Trump, Putin's U.S. invader, yet. So it's kind of hard to give him that credit. But wanting to give him credit to be working with the oil barons or something is the only reason I can really see for not cutting off the oil. Now let me tell you the reason, the economic reason why they do. And it's basically capitalism is evil. It's the perfect example of what's wrong with capitalism. And you should already know this. It won't make you crap your pants or anything, but it's bad. It's like because oil companies spent billions in the 90s and early 2000s. Now, pan out for a minute. We shouldn't be burning oil at all. We should have been aggressively moving towards green energy solutions a long time ago. So no sympathy for people doing new oil refineries in the late 90s and early 2000s anyway. But they apparently spent billions on these oil refineries and went with being able to get what's called sour oil, which you get from Russia and some other countries, instead of the sweet oil they get here in America that uses different processing equipment. So they spent billions on that processing equipment. So basically it would be spoiling their billions of investment in that processing equipment if we stopped using those refineries and stopped using that oil. But we could do it. It's just they made a bad investment. But for some reason, they don't have to suffer the consequences of that investment. Now, it reminds me of something that's going on in Colorado. We have some interesting things in Colorado, some great things like 100% mail-in voting. Therefore, we have legal weed. It's great. But we also have some weird and bad things in Colorado. And one of them happens to be a supermax penitentiary, some type of prison that was built with tax dollars, or we're still paying for it is the point. They built this prison for millions of dollars, and pretty much as soon as they built it, they changed their correctional facility priorities and realized that solitary confinement is a terrible abuse of prisoners. And so even though this prison had been designed mostly for that, they just didn't use it. So we have a prison that no one's using for anything, and we're still paying like millions of dollars a year for it. Our taxes are paying for it. So even though no one's in the prison, we're all in the prison. We're all in on it and contributing to it and held back by it. We could be using that money for something else or whatever. We could be using the building for something else. We could have done something else with that building in the first place. To me, that's the perfect analogy for capitalism and war. Instead of ever doing any of this war in the first place, which is, the best case scenario is that you're in a prison. You're sucked into it financially. Even if nothing bad happens to you personally, you're still part of a prison if you're making war. And We don't need that prison anymore. We can get rid of it and move on. Humanity can move on past war, past this obsolete prison system of war that we're all funding and all part of, that's soaking up half of human resources. Like half of our American economy goes to military. It's crazy. All what we waste in that, or what we allow certain people to get rich off of through that process, but mostly waste and destruction. What we waste in that, and the other things, the uncountable amounts of destruction we cause with it, so much could be done if we weren't doing that. And what's going on in Ukraine is the perfect example of that. You see all the trolls talking about, what about USA's unjust wars? All I can say is, I'm sorry. I was always sorry for USA's unjust wars. I was always opposed to USA's wars. But sorry doesn't bring anything back. The key, the clue, is to stop ever doing this stuff again, so that we don't have all this to apologize for and to be legitimately sorry for. But thank you for watching and sharing. Glory to Ukraine and to Russia. Russia needs to overthrow Putin. It's your interest not to have Putin ruining the world, but we all need to overthrow evil systems in our countries that are holding us all back. And they're the ones that tie us to racism, oil, and war. It's always the same connection, and it's connected in the prison system as well. So interesting that analogy came immediately to mind when I thought, what's this like? Spending all this money on the refinery that no one needs to use anymore. We don't need to be even using oil anymore. But if we can come off of it, then these people who've been empowered by it will stop killing all of us to keep us from stopping them. Thanks for watching and sharing. See you soon.